An alien girl eating trash? He found a lost princess instead. HFY Sci-Fi Story. Elias Vorn hated the night shift, but the night shift paid more. New Jakarta orbital port never truly slept. Even at midnight, cargo cranes still moved like giant insects. Neon signs blinked in 5 alien languages. Air recyclers hummed in the walls, and the whole station smelled like metal, oil, and tired people. Elias drove a sanitation cart down service, Corridor 9. The cart was old, painted the dull gray of a human work division. It rattled when it turned, and one will always squeak like it was complaining. He did not mind the trash. Trash was honest. Trash did not lie about what it was. He stopped at a disposal hatch behind the alien merchant district. This area was called the Rainbow Row by humans because the lighting was too bright and the signs were too colorful. Aliens loved it. Humans mostly avoided it. Elias opened the hatch and pulled out a bag that was heavier than it should be. Great, he muttered. Somebody dumped scrap again. He tossed it into the cart's compactor and watched it flatten with a thump. Then he scanned the next hatch. A soft sound came from the alley between 2 storage bays. Not a rat, not a drone. A human would have stepped away and called security. That was a safe choice. But Elias had worked these corridors for years. He knew the station's noises like a heartbeat. This sound did not belong. He rolled the cart forward and peered into the narrow space. At first, he saw only shadows and trash, broken packaging, crushed ration tubes, old insulation foam. Then something moved. A small figure crouched behind a pile. Thin as a wire, arms wrapped tight around her knees. Her skin was pale, with faint shimmering lines that caught the light. Her hair, if it was hair, was dark and smooth, falling in messy strands. Her eyes were too large, like polished stones. She held a torn ration packet and brought it to her mouth with shaking hands. She was eating it. Elias froze. It was not the eating that shocked him. It was what she was eating. The packet had a bright warning label on it in trade tongue. Not for Valori consumption. Only one species had that warning. Valori. The Valori were not common travelers. They did not sleep in alleys. They did not dig in trash. Elias took a slow breath. "Hey," he said, keeping his voice low. "You okay?" The girl's head snapped up. Her eyes locked onto him with sharp fear, the kind that made his skin tighten. She did not run. Instead, she backed deeper into the shadow, pressing herself against the wall as if trying to become invisible. She clutched the ration packet like it was her last piece of life. Elias raised his hands. "I'm not security. I'm just sanitation. See?" He pointed at his badge in the cart. The girl's gaze flicked to the badge, then to his face again. Her breathing was fast but quiet. She watched him like a hunted animal. But there was something else, too. Something trained. She was scared, yes, but she was not wild. Elias glanced up the corridor. The station's cameras sat in corners, little black eyes. Some of them worked. Some did not. He did not know which ones were watching right now. "Are you lost?" he asked. "Do you have family?" The girl's lips parted. She tried to speak, but only a rough sound came out, like her throat was dry. She swallowed and forced the words. "No family." The words were trade tongue, but broken. Heavy accent. Her voice was soft, young, and tired. Elias stepped half a pace closer, then stopped. He did not want to scare her. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "This area gets patrols." At the word patrols, her shoulders tightened. Her eyes darted down the corridor again, like she expected danger to appear any second. Elias noticed something on her wrist. A thin band, half hidden under grime. Not cheap plastic, not station scrap. It looked like royal tech, smooth, seamless, and too perfect for an alley. His stomach dropped. He had seen Valori nobles once, during a diplomatic visit. Tall, proud, surrounded by guards. Their clothes had shimmered like liquid glass. Their jewelry had been subtle but priceless. This girl had that same kind of too-perfect technology on her skin, even under dirt and fear. Elias opened his mouth to ask more. A sharp chirp echoed nearby. A security drone turned the corner at the far end of the corridor, its lights scanning. Behind it, 2 station security officers walked with hands near their stunners. Their boots clicked on metal. Elias felt the air change. Even before the drone spoke, he knew something was wrong. Security patrols did not come down service Corridor 9 this early. Not unless they were looking for something. The drone's voice buzzed. Unidentified biological presence detected in the merchant sanitation zone. All personnel remained visible. The girl's eyes widened. Panic flashed across her face like a storm. She moved fast, not toward the corridor, toward the trash pile, as if she wanted to bury herself under it. Elias did not think. He acted. He stepped into the alley and blocked her from view with his body. Then he turned, grabbed the nearest bag of waste, and yanked it toward him, making it look like he was working. The officers came closer. Their light swept over Elias and his cart. One officer frowned. "You, sanitation. You see anyone in this area?" Elias kept his face calm. His heart hammered hard enough to hurt. "No, sir," he said. "Just me and a whole lot of garbage." The drone hovered closer, scanning Elias's cart. The scanner beam flicked across the metal and the trash bags. Elias forced himself to breathe normally. The girl was behind him, pressed into the darkest part of the alley. If the scanner caught her heat signature, it was over. The second officer stepped forward. "We have an alert. Something escaped containment." Elias made a confused face. "Containment? Like a lab thing?" The first officer's jaw tightened. "Not your concern. Keep working. If you see anything unusual, report it." The drone's light blinked. "Continue operations." They started to move past him. Elias's lungs loosened. Then the drone paused and angled slightly toward the alley. Its scanner tone changed just a little. Elias felt cold. He swung his compactor arm down, hard, smashing a trash bag into the bin. The cart made a loud, ugly sound. Metal clanged. A stink burst into the air. The drone jerked back, reacting to the sudden movement. Its scan reset for a second. The first officer cursed. "Watch what you're doing." "Sorry," Elias said quickly. "This thing jams all the time." The drone hovered, confused, and then returned to scanning the cart. The officers continued down the corridor, irritated but moving. As soon as their footsteps faded, Elias turned back into the alley. The girl stared at him, eyes wide, chest rising and falling fast. Elias whispered, "They're hunting you." She swallowed. "Yes." That one word carried too much weight. Elias looked around again. Cameras. Corners. Open corridor. No safe place. He made his choice in the next breath. "Get in," he said. The girl blinked. "What?" Elias pointed to the sanitation cart. "There's a storage compartment under the waste bin. It's gross, but it's hidden. You'll fit." Her face tightened with disgust and fear, but the sound of distant boots made her decision for her. She nodded once. Elias opened the side panel and pulled out the compartment tray. The smell hit him. Old food, chemical cleaners, station dust. The girl hesitated only a second before climbing in, curling her body tight like she had done it before, like she knew how to disappear. Elias slid the tray closed and locked it. Then he drove away. Cart squeaking, compactor humming, acting like a tired human doing a tired job. He did not breathe fully until he reached his assigned service elevator. Inside, the elevator lights were dim. The walls were covered in old maintenance stickers. Elias tapped the control pad for residential deck 12, human quarter. The elevator began to rise. Only then did he open the compartment again. The girl unfolded slowly, blinking under the light. She looked even younger now, maybe 16, maybe less. Dirt streaked her cheeks. Her lips were cracked. Elias handed her a sealed water pouch from his work kit. "Drink." She took it like it was treasure. She drank carefully, as if expecting it to be taken away. When she finished, her shoulders lowered slightly. Not relaxed, just less desperate. Elias kept his voice gentle. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Elira." Elias nodded. "I'm Elias." Elira's eyes shifted to his uniform patch, that read human sanitation. "H-human," she said softly, like the word meant something she had been taught. "Yeah," Elias said, "that's what they call us." The elevator dinged. Doors opened onto human residential deck. Narrow halls, cheap lighting, the smell of instant noodles and recycled air. Elias led her quickly. staying close to the walls. His apartment was a converted cargo pod. One room, a tiny wash unit, a folding bed, and a small kitchen block. It wasn't much, but it was private. He locked the door behind them. For a moment, silence filled the space. Lyra looked around like she expected a trap. Elias moved slowly, showing his hands again. "You're safe here." For now. Lyra's gaze fell to a cracked mirror on the wall. She stared at her own reflection like she didn't recognize it. Then she spoke, voice quiet but steady. "They will not stop." Elias rubbed his forehead. "Who are they?" "Station security." Lyra shook her head. The shimmering lines on her skin seemed to brighten with emotion. "Not station," she said. "Valori." Elias felt his stomach twist. "The Valori Empire?" he asked. She nodded. "They hunt me." Elias stared at her wristband again. "Why would your own people hunt you?" Lyra's lips tightened. She looked down, then up again. Something in her eyes changed. Fear mixed with pride, like a person forcing themselves to stand tall, even while bleeding. "I am Alara Valorin," she said, pronouncing it more clearly now, as if saying it was a shield. "Daughter of Empress Sail, heir of the Star Throne." Elias went very still. A princess, a real one, in his garbage cart, in his tiny apartment. He let out a slow breath, half a laugh without humor. "You're telling me you're royalty." Lyra nodded once. "Yes." Elias leaned back against the wall. His mind raced through station politics, alien law, the way powerful species treated humans like tools. If this was true, then this was not just a lost kid. This was a war waiting to happen. "What happened to you?" he asked. Lyra's throat moved as she swallowed hard. "Convoy attacked. Guards dead. My mother..." Her voice broke for a second. She forced it back into place. "I ran." Elias looked at her hands. They were trembling again. He realized she was not eating trash because she liked it. She was eating trash because she had been alone and starving. And the station had decided she was a contaminant. Elias walked to his small kitchen block and pulled out a heat-packed meal. Human standard. Simple. Safe. He set it on the table and pushed it toward her. Lyra stared at it like it was a strange weapon. "It's food," Elias said. "Human food. Won't kill you." She slowly sat and opened it with careful fingers. The smell of spiced rice filled the room. She took one bite. Her eyes closed for a second, and the tension in her face eased like a knot loosening. Elias watched her and felt something hard settle inside him. He didn't know why he was doing this. He didn't know how long he could hide her. But he knew one thing. If the galaxy's powerful were hunting a starving girl in an alley, then the galaxy was broken, and humans had lived in broken places long enough to learn how to survive. A sudden chime interrupted the moment. Elias's wall screen flickered to life. Station emergency broadcast. Red alert. A robotic voice filled the room. "Attention, all residents. Station-wide containment protocol is now active. All movement is restricted. Do not approach unidentified biological entities." The screen displayed a warning symbol. Then an image appeared. Lyra's face, cleaned up by software but unmistakable. Under it, in trade tongue, bold and official, "Dangerous contaminant. Report immediately." Lyra froze mid-bite. Elias's blood turned to ice. Outside his door, in the hallway, heavy boots began to run, and somewhere in the building, a drone buzzed, scanning. Elias grabbed the screen remote and shut it off, but it was too late. The station knew, and now it was coming. Elias looked at Lyra. She looked back at him, fear returning full force. In that shared silence, they both understood the same thing. This was only the beginning. The boots in the hallway did not slow down. They stopped right outside Elias's door. Lyra stood frozen near the small metal table, half-eaten food still in her hand. The red glow from the emergency light outside slipped through the crack under the door. Elias's heart pounded so hard he felt it in his throat. He motioned to her quickly. "Bathroom. Now!" Lyra moved without arguing. She slipped into the tiny wash unit, barely large enough for one human. Elias shut the door softly behind her. The knock came. Not polite, not patient, 3 heavy strikes against the metal. Station security. Open immediately. Elias wiped his face with his sleeve and forced his breathing to slow. He stepped to the door and pressed the unlock pad. The door slid open. 2 station officers stood there in gray armor. Behind them hovered a scanning drone, its lens glowing blue. "Containment sweep," one officer said. "Random inspections." "You saw the alert." Elias nodded. "Yeah, dangerous contaminant. Sounds serious." The officer studied his face. "You were in Service Corridor 9 earlier." Elias kept his expression confused but calm. "That's my assigned route. I clean trash." The drone floated past him into the room, without waiting for permission. Its scanner beam swept over the bed, the kitchen block, the walls. Elias stepped aside, trying not to block its view, but also not looking nervous. "Any unusual sightings?" the second officer asked. "Just garbage," Elias replied. "Same as every night." The drone drifted toward the wash unit door. Elias's muscles tightened. The scanner light brightened. Then the drone paused. Its beam flickered. A harsh buzzing sound filled the small room. The officer frowned. "Interference?" The drone's voice glitched. "Signal distortion detected, recalibrating." Elias stared at it. He had installed an illegal signal scrambler in his apartment years ago to block debt collectors and spam ads. It was weak and unstable, but sometimes it confused basic station tech. Right now it was saving his life. The drone recalibrated, but its beam came out weaker. It scanned the wash unit door. Inside, Elira stood perfectly still. Elias felt sweat roll down his back. After a long second, the drone turned away. "No confirmed contaminant," it announced. The officers looked annoyed. "Stay inside," the first one said. "Curfew remains active. Report anything strange." "Sure," Elias said. They left. The hallway noise faded again. Elias locked the door and leaned his forehead against it. He waited 5 seconds. 10. Then he opened the wash unit. Elira stepped out slowly. Her glowing skin lines were brighter now, almost pulsing faintly. "You masked the signal," she said softly. "Old trick," Elias replied. "Humans don't like being watched." Elira studied him carefully. "You risk much," she said. Elias gave a small shrug. "You risk more. Eating trash in an alley." Her expression tightened at that. "They hunt with lies," she said. "They call me disease, so no one helps." Elias crossed his arms. "Who is they exactly?" Elira moved to the small cracked mirror again. She wiped some dirt from her cheek with shaking fingers. "My uncle, High Regent Kaler." She said the name like it tasted bitter. "He leads Empire Fleet while my mother rules, or ruled." Her voice faltered for a second, but she continued. "Convoy was attacked in outer corridor. Not by pirates, by our own warships." Elias blinked. "You're saying your own empire shot at you?" "Yes." "Why?" "Power." The word hung in the room. Elias sat on the edge of his folding bed. "And you escaped?" Elira nodded. "Escape pod. Small. Hidden in debris field. I drifted for 3 cycles. Picked up by cargo ship. No one knew who I was." Her hand tightened around the thin band on her wrist. "This device hides royal markers," she said. "Without it, scanners would see my bloodline." Elias frowned. "So why are they still scanning the whole station?" Elira hesitated. "Because," she said quietly, "I carry more than blood." Elias looked at her carefully. "What does that mean?" She walked closer and held out her wristband. "Inside is archive fragment," she said. "Old. Very old. From before humans joined Galactic Council." Elias raised an eyebrow. "We joined like 40 years ago." "Yes," she said, "but humans were known before that." Elias shook his head. "No, we were isolated. No FTL. No contact." Elira's eyes met his. "That is not truth." Silence filled the room again. She continued, her voice steady now. 200 years ago, a Valori exploration fleet was damaged near your sol system. Engines failed. Shields gone. We drifted toward your star." Elias listened, unsure if he believed her. Humans detected us, she said. Primitive ships. No faster than light. But brave. They sent aid anyway. That doesn't make sense, Elias said. We didn't have that tech. You had enough, she replied. You towed damaged vessels. You gave resources. You shared atmosphere systems. Many of your people died from radiation to save ours. Elias stared at her. That never happened, he whispered. It happened, she said firmly. Records were sealed after rescue fleet returned. Council decided humans must remain unaware until ready. Political fear. Elias let out a slow breath. So you're telling me humans saved the Valori Empire once? Yes. And now they're hunting the daughter of that empire. Yes. Elias gave a short laugh without humor. That's messed up. Lyra tilted her head slightly. Mess up? It means wrong, Elias said. Yes, she agreed. Very wrong. She walked to the small table and sat down. My uncle found the archive, she said. He believed alliance with humans makes empire look weak. He wants new rule. Strong rule. No debts. No shared history. And you? Elias asked. I disagree. He studied her face. She looked young, scared, but there was steel under it. What were you going to do? He asked. Reveal truth at council assembly, she said. Public. Force empire to honor ancient oath. Elias rubbed his face again. So instead your uncle tried to erase you. Yes. A distant rumble shook the building slightly. Elias stood and moved the window slit. Through it, he could see part of the station's outer ring, and beyond it, stars. 3 massive shapes shimmered into view above the station. Warships. Sleek, silver, unmistakably Valori. They didn't send security, Elias muttered. They sent a fleet. Lyra stepped beside him. They will claim biohazard, she said. If needed, they sterilize section. Sterilize? Elias turned sharply. You mean? Yes. Elias clenched his jaw. For a moment, fear tried to take control. The easy choice would be to hand her over. Let the powerful handle their own problems. Humans were small in galactic politics. But then he remembered her in the alley, eating trash with shaking hands. He remembered the word contaminant under her face. No, he said quietly. Lyra looked at him. No, you're not dying here, Elias said. Not in my building. Her eyes widened slightly. You owe me nothing, she said. Maybe, Elias replied. But if what you're saying is true, then your empire owes us. He turned away from the window and started moving around the room quickly. What are you doing? She asked. Thinking. He pulled open a storage crate under his bed and took out a small toolkit and a portable data pad. Station main comm array is on lower deck, he said. If we can access a hard line, we can broadcast your archive. Lyra blinked. Broadcast? To whom? Everyone. That is dangerous. Elias smirked slightly. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Outside, a deep mechanical hum filled the air. A voice boomed across the station through external speakers. Attention, residents. By authority of the Valori Empire, this station is under temporary military oversight. Surrender the contaminant immediately. Elias looked at Lyra. She stood very still. That's your uncle, he said. Yes. The voice continued, cold and controlled. Failure to comply will result in corrective action. The building lights flickered. Elias grabbed his jacket. We don't have time. Lyra hesitated only a second before nodding. Lower deck access tunnels, Elias said. Aliens don't like them. Too tight. Too dirty. A faint spark of something almost like amusement touched her face. Humans like dirty places, she said softly. We survive in them, Elias replied. He opened his door carefully. The hallway was empty, but emergency lights painted everything red. He motioned for her to follow. They moved quickly toward the maintenance stairwell. As they descended, the station shook again. Stronger this time. Lyra glanced upward. They are powering weapons, she whispered. Elias tightened his grip on the datapad. Then we better be faster. Behind them, somewhere far above, The Valori warships adjusted position, and in the dark corridors below the station, a human sanitation worker and a hunted alien princess ran toward the only weapon they had left. The lower maintenance tunnels were never meant for comfort. They were narrow, hot, and filled with the constant hum of power lines. Pipes ran along the ceiling like metal veins. The air smelled of oil and dust. Elias moved fast but careful. He knew these tunnels better than most engineers. He had repaired leaks here. He had replaced broken panels here. He had even taken naps here during long shifts. Elira followed close behind him. She moved quietly, almost too quietly. Even in the dim emergency lighting, her skin lines glowed faint blue, reflecting off the metal walls. "They do not track you here," she asked softly. "Most species hate tight spaces," Elias replied. "Too small, too dirty. Humans built half the station's maintenance system. We're the only ones crazy enough to crawl through it." Elira looked at him with something like respect. The station shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They are moving closer," she said. "I know." They reached a junction where 3 tunnels split. Elias crouched near a panel and removed it with quick movements. Inside, bundles of fiber lines pulsed with light. "This feeds into the main comm relay," he said. "Not the public network. The real one." Elira knelt beside him. "If we connect archive fragment here, it can override broadcast block for short time." "How short?" "Maybe 3 minutes." Elias exhaled. "Then we make those 3 minutes count." He handed her the data pad. She pressed her wristband against it. A faint glow moved from the band into the pad, like light pouring through glass. Symbols filled the screen. Not human code. Something older. "Your uncle can block this?" Elias asked. "He will try," she said. "But if we open wide channel first, many species will receive before block completes. Then let's wake up the galaxy." Above them, the voice of Regent Kaler echoed again through station speakers. "Final warning. Surrender now. Mercy will be considered." Elias rolled his eyes. "That doesn't sound like mercy." Elira's jaw tightened. "He lies well." Footsteps echoed faintly in a nearby tunnel. Elias froze. Not station security this time. The footsteps were heavier, more controlled. Elira's eyes widened slightly. "Valori soldiers," she whispered. Elias shut the panel halfway but kept access open. "How close?" She tilted her head, listening in a way humans could not. 2 corridors over. "Good," Elias muttered. "Then we have maybe 60 seconds." He looked at the datapad screen. "Ready?" he asked. Elira nodded. Elias plugged the pad directly into the fiber line. The screen flashed red, then green. "Connection established," it displayed in trade tongue. Elira closed her eyes for 1 second, then opened them again. Her fear was still there, but now something stronger stood beside it. Resolve. "Begin transmission," she said. Elias pressed confirm. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then every screen on the station flickered. The emergency alert symbol disappeared. Instead, a royal crest appeared, Valori, ancient and unmistakable. In markets, in control rooms, in private quarters, across docking bays, across alien ships connected to station grid. The galaxy was watching. Elira stepped closer to the camera input on the pad. Elias adjusted it, so her face was centered. She took 1 breath. "I am Elira Valerin," she said clearly. Her voice echoed to the tunnel speakers as it transmitted. "Daughter of Empress Sale, heir to the Valori Star Throne." On the screen, archive data began to scroll beside her image. Old star charts, damaged fleet logs, visual records. 200 years ago, she continued, a Valori fleet was saved near Sol System. Saved by humans. Images shifted. Primitive human ships, small and fragile, pulling massive alien vessels through space. Radiation storms. Human astronauts in crude suits guiding Valori hulls to safety. Gasps echoed faintly through distant station speakers. Elias felt chills. He had never seen these images before. They shared atmosphere, power, and life support. Elira said, "Many humans died in rescue. My people swore eternal alliance." The feed trembled. Red warning text flashed briefly. Military override attempt. Elias typed fast, rerouting signal through secondary lines. Keep talking, he said urgently. My uncle, High Regent Kaler, seeks to erase this history, Elira said. He attacked royal convoy to seize power. He calls me contaminant to justify murder. More images appeared. Internal Valori communications. Fleet movement orders signed by Kaler. Weapon targeting logs matching convoy coordinates. Proof. Heavy footsteps echoed louder in the tunnel. They were close now. Elias glanced over his shoulder. Blue light flickered at the far end. 30 seconds, he muttered. The transmission signal glitched again. A new screen appeared briefly. Regent Kaler himself. Tall. Silver armor. Eyes cold. This is falsified, he declared. Human manipulation. Cut transmission immediately. But the archive continued. More files open automatically, triggered by Elira's band. Council seals. Ancient Oath recordings. A Valori High Elder speaking. We owe the soul-born species a debt beyond stars. We bind our future to theirs. The feed stabilized for one last push. Elira stepped closer to the camera. If I die, she said, voice steady, truth will not. Humans are not weak allies. They are reason our empire survived. Any action against them breaks sacred oath. The tunnel filled with light as Valori's soldiers rounded the corner. Tall, armed, armor shining. Princess Elira, one commanded, step away from device. Elias stood up slowly, putting himself between them and her. Transmission timer blinked. 10 seconds. The lead soldier raised his weapon, but hesitated. Across the station, something changed. Elias could hear it. Not fear. Noise. Voices shouting in corridors. Other alien languages rising. Dock workers pointing at screens. Merchants arguing. Ships in docking bays powering engines. The galaxy had seen. 5 seconds. The transmission ended. Screens across the station froze on one final image. The ancient oath seal between Valori and humanity. Then black. Silence filled the tunnel. The Valori soldiers aimed their weapons fully now. You have committed high treason, the lead soldier said coldly. Yeah, Elias replied quietly. Guess I did. Before the soldier could fire, the tunnel lights flickered. A new voice came over station comms. Not Kaler. Station Master Reln, a four-armed Terran official. Valori forces, Reln said sharply. Under interspecies treaty, military action on this station requires council review. You are ordered to stand down. The lead soldier hesitated. That order does not apply to internal Valori matters, he responded. It applies when weapons threaten multi-species civilians. Reln shot back. Your sterilization cannons are charging. That is not internal. Elias felt hope spark. More voices joined the comm channel. A deep, rumbling Croft merchant captain. We saw the archive. A comm sent delegate. Proof verified. Data signatures authentic. Then unexpectedly, a human voice. Captain Mara Ionescu of the independent cargo ship Red Horizon. We are activating defensive shields around civilian docks, she announced. Any hostile fire will be considered an attack on human vessels. Through the small tunnel viewport, Elias saw it. Human ships lifting from docking clamps. Old freighters. Mining rigs. Haulers. Not warships, but moving with purpose. Elira stared at the sight. They mobilize fast, she whispered. Elias allowed himself a small grin. We don't wait for permission. Above the station, Valori warships adjusted position again. But now they face not silence. They face witnesses. Council ships began exiting slip space at long range. Observer vessels. Recording everything. In the tunnel, the lead Valori soldier lowered his weapon slightly. His helmet comm buzzed. New orders. He stiffened. Then, slowly, he stepped back. Princess Elira, he said carefully. You are ordered to return to Valori flagship for protective custody. Elira's eyes flashed. Protective custody, she repeated softly. Elias looked at her. This was a moment. If she went, Kaler could still twist narrative. If she refused, things could escalate to war. Outside, human ships formed a loose defensive circle around the station. They were smaller, weaker, but they did not retreat. A Lyra stepped forward. "No," she said clearly. The soldier's posture shifted. "You defy region authority?" "I claim rightful authority," she replied, "and I do so under witness of the galaxy." The tunnel fell silent again. Elias stood beside her, one human, one hunted princess, facing an empire. The soldier's calm buzzed once more. This time, the voice that came through was not Kaler. It was older, stronger, Valori High Admiral Sereth. "All Valori units," the Admiral's voice commanded, echoing across open channels. "Weapons power down. Regent Kaler's authority is under review by Imperial Tribunal." The soldiers froze. The lead one slowly lowered his weapon completely. Above the station, the massive warships dimmed their charging glow. Human ships did not lower shields yet, but they held position. Elias exhaled slowly. Lyra's shoulders dropped for the first time since he had seen her in that alley. It was not victory yet, but it was survival. And in space, survival was the first step to winning. Far above them, inside the largest Valori warship, Regent Kaler stared at frozen screens, showing ancient odes and human rescue footage. For the first time, doubt had entered his fleet. And in the galaxy beyond, species who once ignored humanity were now watching very closely, because a small, underestimated species had just done something dangerous. They had reminded the stars that humans do not forget their debts, and they do not abandon the hunted. But Elias knew something else too. This was not finished. Power does not fall quietly. And Kaler was not the kind of ruler who surrendered without blood. The tunnel lights steadied. The soldiers stepped aside. Lyra looked at Elias. "It begins," she said softly. He nodded. "Yeah," he replied. "Now it really begins." The station did not explode. That alone felt like a miracle. Above New Jakarta Orbital Port, the Valori warships powered down their main weapons. Their silver hulls still floated like sharp blades against the stars, but a bright glow of charged cannons slowly faded. Human ships remained in position. Old cargo freighters, mining haulers, transport shuttles. They were not built for war. Their paint was scratched. Their engines were loud. But they formed a shield around the civilian docks without being asked twice. Inside the maintenance tunnel, the Valori soldiers stepped back. Their leader lowered his weapon fully and bowed his head slightly toward Lyra. "Princess," he said carefully, "Imperial Tribunal requests your presence. High Admiral Sereth has assumed temporary command." Lyra stood straight. Dirt still marked her face. Her clothes were torn. But in that moment, she did not look like a girl who had been eating from trash. She looked like royalty. "I will not board Regent Kaler's flagship," she said calmly. "You will not," the soldier confirmed. "You will board the Admiral's vessel." Elias glanced at her. This was a turning point. If the tribunal was real, Kaler's power was cracking. But cracked power could still be dangerous. "What about the station?" Elias asked. The soldier's helmet turned slightly toward him. "Valori forces will withdraw from immediate firing range," he said. "Council observers are arriving." As if proving his words true, new ships shimmered into view beyond the warships. Sleek council cruisers, marked with neutral emblems. The galaxy was watching now. Kaler could not erase things quietly anymore. Lyra looked at Elias. "You should not come further," she said softly. "This is my fight." Elias crossed his arms. "You think I crawled through maintenance tunnels for exercise?" A faint smile touched her face. "This may become dangerous," she warned. He gave a small shrug. It already was. For a second, they just looked at each other. Then the Valori soldier stepped aside. "Transport shuttle is ready." The shuttle ride to the Admiral's ship was quiet. Through the viewport, Elias saw the full scale of the fleet. Valori dreadnoughts stretched longer than cities. Their hulls were smooth and beautiful, like they were carved from moonlight. Human ships looked tiny beside them, but they did not move away. They stayed. Lyra noticed too. "They stand for you," she said quietly. Elias shook his head. "They stand because someone tried to bully civilians." She tilted her head slightly. "You do not see it. See what? Humans do not wait for orders, she said. No emperor commands them. No regent controls them. Yet they act together. Elias thought about that. Yeah, he said after a moment. We're stubborn like that. The shuttle docked inside Admiral Saratha's flagship. Unlike Kaler's cold broadcast chamber, this ship felt different. The halls were bright, but not harsh. Officers moved quickly, but without panic. They were tense, but not cruel. Admiral Sarath waited in a large command chamber. She was tall, older than Elira, her silver hair braided tightly. Her armor was formal, marked with fleet insignia. When Elira entered, Sarath removed her helmet. Then she bowed deeply. "Your Highness," the Admiral said. The room fell silent. Even Elias felt the weight of that gesture. Elira swallowed once. "Admiral." Sarath looked at Elias briefly, studying him. "This human aided you?" "Yes," Elira replied firmly. "Without him, I would be dead." Sarath gave Elias a slow nod. "Then the Empire owes you." Elias shifted slightly. "You might want to make sure the Empire survives first." A few officers glanced at him in surprise, but Sarath did not react with anger. Instead, she turned toward the main display. Regent Kaler appeared on screen. He looked calm, too calm. "You overstepped, Admiral," Kaler said smoothly. "You have no authority to countermand Regent command." Saratha's voice remained steady. "I have authority when Regent command threatens the stability of the Empire." Kaler's eyes shifted to Elira. "You manipulated outsiders," he said. "You exposed classified history." "I expose truth," Elira replied. "You weaken us." "No," she said louder now. "You weaken us by denying honor." The chamber grew quiet. Kaler's expression hardened slightly. "Humans are young," he said, "unstable. Aligning fully with them binds us to chaos." Elias stepped forward before he could stop himself. "With respect," he said, "we didn't ask for a throne. We saved your fleet because people were dying." Several Valori officers looked at him sharply, but Elira did not stop him. Kaler's gaze sharpened. "And now you interfere in Imperial matters." "You interfered first," Elias replied. "You called a starving girl a contaminant." The word hung in the air. Saratha's jaw tightened. Council observer ships transmitted new signals. Data verification reports. Authentication seals confirming the archive footage. Kaler saw it too. His political ground was crumbling. "You think this ends with broadcast?" Kaler asked quietly. "Power does not shift because of emotion." Elira stepped closer to the display. "It shifts because of loyalty," she said. Behind her, Sarath gave a signal. Fleet status lights changed. Half the warships that followed Kaler now switched allegiance codes to Admiral Command. Not all, but enough. Kaler noticed. His eyes flickered briefly with calculation. "You would risk civil fracture," he said. "You risked it first," Sarath answered. Silence stretched. Then something unexpected happened. A new signal came through. Imperial Tribunal seal. Ancient and absolute. A voice older than any in the room spoke. "Regent Kaler, you are suspended pending full inquiry into charges of treason and unlawful aggression." Kaler's face went still. "You cannot." "We can," the voice replied. "Stand down." For a long second, it looked like he might refuse. Then the lights on his flagship dimmed. Weapon systems powered down. His image faded from the screen. In the command chamber, a breath released that many had been holding. It was not a loud celebration. It was quiet relief. Elira's shoulders trembled slightly, not from fear now, but from exhaustion. Sarah turned toward her. "The tribunal requests you return to Valori Prime to assume provisional authority," the Admiral said. This was the moment the entire galaxy expected. The princess returns. The throne restored. But Elira looked at the star map instead. Then she looked at Elias. Then at the live feed showing human ships still holding defensive position. "No," she said softly. The Admiral blinked. "Your Highness." "I will return," Elira clarified. "But not alone. The ancient oath will not remain hidden again. Humans will stand beside us formally." A murmur moved through the officers. "That will change Imperial structure," Sarath warned. "Yes," Elira agreed. It must. She turned toward Elias. Will humanity accept official alliance? Elias scratched the back of his head. You're asking the wrong guy, he said. I clean trash. A faint smile touched Saratha's lips. But, Elias continued, if you show up honest and not pointing cannons at us, I think we'll listen. Elira nodded slowly. Then, that is what we will do. Hours later, Valori warships withdrew to neutral distance. Council observers remained to oversee transition. Human ships slowly lowered shields, but they did not leave until the last Valori cannon cooled completely. On the station, emergency alerts cleared. Residents stepped out into corridors, whispering about what they had seen. Truth had traveled faster than fear. Back in his small cargo apartment, Elias finally sat down. He felt like he had not slept in days. A knock came at his door. He opened it. Elira stood there, clean now, wearing simple but formal Valori attire, not heavy royal robes. Something balanced. You are leaving? He asked. For now, she said, to face tribunal, to begin reforms. He nodded. You'll be okay? He asked. She looked at him carefully. I was starving in an alley, she said. Now I face Empire. Yes, I will be okay. He smiled slightly. She hesitated. Elias, she said quietly. When history records this moment, it will not remember sanitation worker. He shrugged. That's fine. But I will, she said. For a second, neither spoke. Then she extended her hand in Valori gesture of alliance. He took it. Her grip was firm. Humans are not weak, she said. Never said we were, he replied. Outside the station viewport, human and Valori ships floated side by side under the light of distant stars. The galaxy had expected a quiet purge. Instead, it had witnessed something else. A reminder that humans may be young among the stars. They may lack ancient empires and golden fleets. But when they see someone hunted unfairly, they do not look away. And sometimes, all it takes to shake an empire is one sanitation worker who refuses to step aside.